Welcome to The Alternative Voice. In this episode, Laura Dungan. And now your host, Valerie Martens.
Hey! And welcome to The Alternative Voice. I'm Valerie Martens, your host, and this is my guest this month, Laura Dungan. How are you today, Laura?
I'm very good.
Awesome. So I want to talk about a little bit about the coaching you're doing. I just did part of the Nourish. Headache caused me to miss the last half of it, which was a drag.
All right.
What inspired that?
That particular, well, actually, it's kind of an interesting trail to follow. The two women that I did that series with, and it was the full title, let's see if I get it, Nourished, a nervous system reboot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we kicked off with Anya first, and she did a body embodiment.
Yes.
And that's
the embodiment part was really beneficial.
Yeah.
I never thought about how we need to take trauma that we've had, and that there's, when you start feeling it, that you can actually reboot or reset your body.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so used to just cycling it here, and that doesn't do it.
No,
and
no, it
then
doesn't.
Sherry was the second day,
yes,
and hers was on moving emotion through the body.
Right, and that was one that I was really interested in.
You should get a replay if you haven't already on that.
I have, and I just haven't had time to go through it.
It's good.
But I really do want to go through it. And then on the third day was
mine
you.
on. It was called The Naked Page, and it was on journaling, bringing yourself to the blank page.
Okay.
So the three of us went through this coaching certification program together.
Right.
I didn't know Anya. I knew Sherry well. She's out of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Thai yoga is her expertise,
nice.
and Anya out of Chicago is Chinese medicine practitioner. And I don't know how you describe me, but anyway,
life coach, life coach.
We're all
coach
coaches,
and mentor.
Yeah. So the coaching certification was with Layla Martin, who comes out of a tantric tradition. She went and studied for a dozen years or so as a very young woman. She's just in her late 80s now. She has her own late 30s now. Sorry, I was going to say 38, and it came out 80s. Anyway, she has her own podcast.
Oh, does she? Okay.
Very worth checking out.
Right on.
Layla Martin, and So then Sherry introduced me. Are you familiar with quantum physics?
Yes, I'm very into the quantum physics thing. I know that we all put off a frequency, our very own frequency, and that it's important to keep our frequency high, to keep our vibration high in order, to have better things in our world. So I've been following a lot of that. It's
very good.
been my deep diving thing here lately.
Yeah. Well, Sherry introduced me to a device. It's called Healy, that actually works with an individual person's quantum field.
Really?
Yeah. And you're able to access frequencies that any part of your body needs.
Really?
Like in this, with this particular device, it has 800 different frequencies just for the kidney alone.
Wow,
But
really?
there's probably 3 million frequencies
that can run
this device
off the
accesses.
body.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And so how does somebody have that done to him?
Well, I'm wearing it, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll scan your body. You use an app on your phone.
Right.
And it scans it every 10 seconds to see what you're needing.
Wow.
You've asked it to do a particular function if you want to focus on lungs, or if you want to focus on your ears or your eyes, or your spirit. I mean, it gets into the spiritual realm too.
Really?
It's
Wow.
FDA approved for anxiety and pain.
Wow.
They don't get too into the more woo-woo things.
Right. Well, God
FDA.
forbid the FDA have anything to do with anything spiritual.
Yeah.
We just want to deal with
Yeah.
food, drugs, and that's
Yeah.
it.
But Tesla, one of his better known quotes, everything is vibration, frequency, and resonance. Everything.
Absolutely. That was
that every cell in your body has its own frequency, the cell at the cellular level.
See now, and the stuff that I've been deep diving into, has been about raising your frequency, raising your vibration. I didn't realize it went so far as each cell, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
But Nikola Tesla, I've been studying him now for a minute, and his, it's all about vibration, frequency, and energy, and you take it down to the quantum level. The quantum physicists have always known that everything was like this, and everybody's like, oh, it's science, and I can't get that because it says physics, and it's really actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
So
kind of, I guess.
where do you get that device at?
You can talk to me.
Okay.
You can. It's what's the word I want? Networking, marketing model for the business.
Oh, okay.
So you work through people.
Okay.
You have hands-on support in
Right.
learning how to use it.
Okay.
It's not complicated, but to really understand the power of what you have
Right.
I mean, how do you delve the depths of quantum? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. That
it's
goes
the
right on
beginning of
down to the
everything.
neurons and the protons, and I mean, hi, CERN. How are you?
and the way I kind of describe the device itself is that it reminds me of computers from the standpoint of the power that we have with
Right.
computers. Can't see that.
No.
And then the first computers to capture whatever that signal is, called the internet,
Right.
filled rooms.
Right.
Then everybody had units, computers in their homes.
Right.
And now we are carrying them around in our hands.
In our hands, little.
So
yeah.
there were doctors that had machines in their offices that they would use for frequency. Government shut that down.
Really?
In I think the 1930s, when the
Really?
American Medical Association started defining what medicine was.
Oh, I see.
Pharmaceutical
What is
companies
medicine
came
and what
in.
isn't?
Anyway, all of those wonderful things that we're familiar with government and deep pocketed people. Steering all of our attention and conditioning around just narrow
Sure.
little avenues.
Well, sure.
Right.
I mean, they, have to have some way to pull the strings on us
Yeah,
and make that
cha-ching,
money off of us.
cha-ching.
So did Nikola Tesla, did he design that?
No.
Or is that just...
Marcus Schmieke out of Germany developed the first company called Time Waver, which is a consortium of frequency practitioners. They're people who
Okay.
work with frequency
Right.
in psychotherapy,
Yes.
in body healing.
Yes.
A lot of athletes use
Yeah.
frequency to recover from injuries.
Yeah.
So there's the frequency people, and then Healy is the company that developed the device to deliver
The frequency.
the frequencies.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, that
making it
makes sense.
accessible in a personal.
In a personal thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you wear it all the time?
No,
Or
no,
just...
I run 2 or 3 programs a day. It has a beautiful coaching app.
Okay.
And what I love about the coach is you put in what it is you are really wanting to bring forward in
Right.
your life. Because when you you were talking about raising your vibration or raising your frequency. When you can see so clearly what it is that you dream about, what it is you want to bring into the world.
Exactly.
If you're elevated around that,
exactly,
there's no question.
Well,
that it's going to move.
And that's one of the things that I've learned recently is that you attract the things that match your frequency.
Yeah.
So
and what you resist will persist.
Exactly.
Like what you push away. Like, I hate my job. I hate my job.
Right.
I hate my job.
Right.
Well, it's going to stick to you like glue.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the self-talk.
Yep.
Has been one of the things that I've really been on lately, changing a person's internal voice about how you speak to yourself. I'm really bad about, I'm dumb. Oh, wow, Val, you're really stupid. And I'm trying to change that because not only am I convincing myself, but, that's what's keeping my vibration where it is.
Yeah. And that's where the coaching really comes in handy to begin to work. And the particular kind of coaching in the tantric tradition that utilizes body, mind, spirit, the integration of those things.
Right.
Because trauma, all kinds of stuff that then the belief, it's sticky stuff and it swirls around, can drag us down. It's the heaviest. In the morning you wake up, what time is it? What day is it? Or you live in the past. You wake up rehearsing things that have already happened and one's reaction to them. And it gets wired into the nervous system.
Yeah.
So that's the default mode. Then we get triggered with a situation and we go into the
loop,
the proverbial spiral, and then somebody comes along and flushes the toilet on you and down you go.
Yeah, I know, right? And so that helps break that.
It helps break that. It actually helps move and work those low density frequencies out of your body.
Nice.
It's not magic per se. It does cause insight that then you can work with that.
Right.
But it actually does work the frequencies in your body at the same time. So you can work at trauma spirals from a lot of different directions.
Nice. Very nice. So when they go through you to get the device, do you have ongoing interaction with them?
Oh, yes.
I mean, is this...
Yep.
So you stick with them and...
Yep.
Is there
Coach
like a
through.
daily or a weekly or a...
It just kind of depends. I've got people that live pretty busy lives.
Yeah.
I've noticed that for the majority of people I'm working with right now, life, and this is with anything, if you wanted to start a meditation practice or you want to do more working out in the gym or any kind of health producing activity, it takes some intention. It does. And to work it into your life. So it's not an add-on, but it's something that's integrated into your life.
Right.
So there's that kind of thing, although you don't have to pack off to a gym. But it's interesting how something so simple, it's sitting right next to your bed or down in the kitchen charging overnight. Right. To use it and learn how to integrate it as just part of your life. Right. It takes a little bit.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit.
Yeah.
But, once you get in, the benefit far outweighs the the stress.
How long have you been using it?
Since October.
Last October? Mm-hmm. And so what have you noticed? What's changed for you?
Well, I'm working on an ear program, actually. And I noticed when I started to use that particular program in a couple of days after I started using it, the volume. I used to have to top the volume out on my Zoom calls and on my telephone.
Right.
I use Bluetooth in both cases.
Right.
And I only had to have the volume up about halfway on the dial. I have no idea what the...
So like that quick? Just a couple days?
Yeah, after a couple of days.
Wow.
Now, I haven't been able to use it lately for about 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
And I've noticed my ears dipping again.
Kind of back down.
Mm-hmm. So I'm in an investigative mode right now to figure out what the good combination is.
Right.
I've got a team of doctors that, I didn't see a regular doctor for probably over a decade.
Yeah, right.
I had high cholesterol, and they're freaking out about high cholesterol, and I'm like,
they freak
okay,
out about
I'm a good
everything,
patient.
I think.
They write me the script to go get statins, and I'm getting ready to walk literally out of my house to go to the pharmacy to fill the prescription, and there was just this little, you need to research this, just niggle in the back. And I was like, oh, okay. So how lovely, it's so easy to research things. So I
know.
did.
What did we ever do without Google, YouTube, Pinterest? Everything I learn on those.
I said, hell no. I'm not doing that. After I read, no, I'm not doing that. So I called the doctor back to set up another appointment.
Yeah.
And the physician's assistant asked me, so are you taking the statins? And I said, no, I haven't filled the prescription. And she scolded me about it. And I was like, that's why I want to talk to the doctor, because I don't want to take the statin, and I think there may be some other options.
Right.
Anyway, after that interaction, I'm like, I did go to another appointment, but I'm like, no, I'm going to listen to my body.
Yeah,
so
that's important.
What I did for 10 years, and really, I loved it. So many good things happened. So many bringing things into alignment, good health. And then when I hit 60, for some reason, I felt like I needed a bigger team. Because the ears have always been something I've had to work with.
Oh, okay.
I started losing my hearing when I was 35.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted a woman doctor, never had a woman doctor.
Yeah.
I'm on the lookout for a woman doctor. Nobody's taking new patients. And this doctor lands in my lap that's a dude and Western trained, still does rotations in one of our hospitals here in Wichita. But he's curious, so curious.
Oh.
And I told him about helium frequency, and he came out of his chair excited and pulled a little device out on his desk. He says, I use this with my dad, who is having cognitive decline. And his little device only had 3 frequencies on it. I said, mine's got over 3 million. But anyway,
right.
He was a kid in a candy store. He knows what is actually happening with the frequency. So he's drawn all this shit up on his whiteboard, and
like everybody else in the world knows this, right? But us,
right?
Wow. Wow, really?
Yeah. So. And the first time I went to go see him, the first place I went to, he says, I want you to eat these 4 foods.
Okay.
I went to the grocery store after seeing my doctor.
Really?
I've never had that happen before.
No kidding, right?
Everybody's running off to the pharmacy with, take this pill.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is my doctor. And he's on a team. I use in medical intuitive. I use my own. That was my first question to him is, if you can't listen to my inner doctor with me, then you're not my doctor.
Right.
And he got a little grin on his face. He says, I think
I
can do that.
It's like you tell them, this is going on.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like and they're like, I'm the doctor.
Yeah.
And, they know better. They don't listen to us about our bodies. And
we got to take our power back.
Yeah,
in every
exactly.
way.
Exactly. We really do. I feel like it's so strange to think that, like here in the U.S., we don't know half of what all these other countries, even I kind of feel like, even like some of the third world countries, their healers know more than what our doctors do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody, I just discovered this vibration and frequency. It's been in the last year.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my friends introduced me to the whole concept of all of this. And
nice.
It came from like a music standpoint.
Yes. Yes.
And she had a band that she was managing. And she said, you guys need to tune to 432.
Yes.
And they're like, what?
What?
What do you mean 432? And she said, no, this is the standard, the earth and they've discovered like the bands that are doing drop D and stuff are actually closer to 432 than the bands up here playing the 440.
Yep.
And that people are more responsive to the 432.
That is right.
And so it was through music that I found the vibration and the frequency.
Yes.
But then I've, gone deep diving, me and my buddy YouTube.
Yeah.
And I've learned how to manifest, the principles of manifestation and using my vibration and my frequency to make things happen that I want to happen. Podcast right here, folks. I manifested this sucker. I really did.
That's beautiful.
And
I was going to ask you that question.
I did.
How in the world did this happen?
Well, I have this friend. He knew Gypsy very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mr. Aaron Underwood. And so when we were doing the book, Being Wichita Women, I told him about it. And he's like, Val, anything you do, I got you, And then I saw
Aaron
him.
Or Justin?
He is. He's over there in the corner.
I have an Aaron. I told him I have an Aaron in my life. Now I have another one. And I have a Justin in my life, too.
Yeah.
My middle son.
I saw Aaron at a blues jam, an open blues jam at the Shamrock, and I was telling him about the podcast. And he said, Val, we're doing our own podcast where I'm at. He said, if you need anything, if you need any help, I've got you. Wow. And he always tells me that. And after having some problems just getting people to respond, I called him up. I'm like, oh my God, Aaron, help.
Yeah.
And he said, come talk to us. Well, ta-da!
Ta-da. And it is the legacy of Gypsy. I remember when we were looking through Gypsy's box with the newsletters.
And the newsletter, The Alternative Voice.
You knew you were supposed to carry forward
that
her work in some form. And here we are in this methodology.
I know. Well, she always
amazing.
expected me to do things my own way.
Yep.
And I felt like, today's society, a newsletter isn't really the way to go. So how do you put it out there? Well, you put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you put the message out that way.
Yeah.
And it's just like the vibration and frequency. I want to wake people up to these things. That there's more out there than what we know. And the world needs some change in it.
Yeah.
It's really time for it.
Well, my curiosity now is very much in the realm of, for more than 30 years, my work has been in collective change.
Yes.
And through community organizing.
Yes.
And so now I am very in tune with what is the frequency of change.
That's a good question.
What is the frequency of things falling apart?
Right.
And the frequency of creating something new.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
One of the examples that one of the frequency practitioners that works mostly on the physical body with frequencies, when she's talking about it, she used the reference. Have you ever seen the video? I think was it in California, the bridge? A big windstorm came up and it got the bridge moving to such a degree that it fell up. It fell apart.
Yeah, yeah.
This suspension bridge.
Yeah.
And she says, when people look at that video, they think, oh, look what the wind did. And the wind got it started, but then it took on its own. It was the frequency that made the bridge fall apart.
Right.
So, the way the systems are going right now and falling apart, and it seems like there's some systems that are quite pernicious.
Yeah, I agree.
So
absolutely.
What would be the frequency to just have that continue?
Right.
To dissolve,
right.
To fall apart. But the legions of people need to be in the spaces of creating the new.
Exactly.
Like spaces like this.
Exactly. And that you use the term collective, which is a term that I've been using a lot and hearing a lot. People who, we're all a collective. I mean, they talk about AI and the singularity, which that's a whole nother.
Right.
But we are the collective.
Yeah.
Everybody's the collective. So I guess what we need to figure out is, what is the frequency of the collective? Then how do we go about raising it?
Yeah.
Because that's what it'll take.
Yeah.
For things to become different, we need all these bad systems, basically, I guess, to fall apart. Because when things fall apart, in Tarot, we call it the tower moment.
Yep.
It falls apart and everybody thinks, oh God, here
right.
It's blown up and
crisis.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But the thing is that has to happen for the old to go away, for the new to come back in. Yeah. For the new to come back in. And so I would wonder, I guess, how would you gauge the frequency of the collective? Do we get everybody together at interest? Maybe. How big of a group do we need? What's a controlled group look like? Because I would think it would need to be like people with high vibration, but then maybe some other people down here with, so you get a good median of what like maybe a collective would look like, as far as, and then how do you begin to raise that?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the answers to that question, but I'm very curious about that.
I know that with music, you can take a whole room of people and put them in the room, and if they're playing at 432, everybody's frequency begins to come up and match that 432.
Yeah.
So maybe it has something to do with the music that we're broadcasting,
Yeah. Yeah. It's another...
as a way to get out to everybody,
Yeah.
People don't realize, you walk into a building and there's music playing in the background.
Yeah.
Or you're on the phone. I had the experience of being on the phone for 4.5 hours with DCF the other day.
Yeah.
Music was playing the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was caller number 102 in the queue. And then after they answered, they put me on hold, and I went to caller number 68 in the queue.
Right.
So that's roughly 170 people ahead of me. So those 170 people were listening to that same music that I was listening to.
Yeah.
So, well, it sounds to me like we have a mystery to solve.
Yes, for sure.
Boy, you always get me into stuff when
I
we
know,
do this.
right?
Right?
Yeah.
Because, I'm writing Gypsy's Box.
Okay.
That will be released in the winter of 2024.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then, you stirred that one up.
Yes.
You and Danielle.
I'm currently doing some writing that
Are you?
will have my mentor in it. but it's going to be a novel.
Is it?
Yeah, I decided, I was going to do a memoir, and I don't know, there's too many people still tramping around the world that I wanted to really speak some truth to dynamics that if I did it in memoir form, I just didn't think it would go down very well.
Right.
And I wanted to speak of my mentor, the good, bad, and the ugly about him.
Yes, I've read.
In a way that honored him, but really sees him as a man, because he was a flawed human being like we all are.
Sure.
And the only form I could imagine really writing about his life is if it was a fictitious character, mostly because he refused to be central in any story.
Right.
Like he wrote a little book after he retired and refused to have his face on the back of the book.
Wasn't that the one that you brought me?
Actually, I think it's sitting right here on your coffee table.
Oh, that is it, isn't it?
Yeah, and you'll notice the picture on the back is the back of his head.
Yes, I noticed that. I did notice that. I was like...
And doing what he did, which was listen to people.
Yeah.
In the picture, he's sitting on the floor with his back to the camera, and the people who are facing the camera are the disabled community, ADAPT.
Yeah.
And he was their primary tactician for their actions that they would do. Like they would roll in their chairs or crutch in, whatever modality they had, and physically put their bodies on the line.
Wow.
And police kind of freaked out when people jumped out of their chairs with no legs and started hopping around on the ground.
I bet.
I mean,
that's shocking.
Things started happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things started happening.
Wow.
So he was so committed to people's voices.
Yeah.
Regular people's voices being heard.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get him in the mix.
Huh.
So to have him in a novel form makes a lot of sense because he was a very mysterious and hidden figure.
So when will we get to read that?
I don't know. I don't have a clear calendar date yet. I'm 35 pages in.
Is Quiet Storm going to publish?
Yes, Quiet Storm is on board. And I'm assuming that's who's supporting
Quiet
her.
Storm is who is going to publish for me as
well.
Our friend Danielle is definitely making some big moves with this Quiet Storm deal.
Yeah.
And I know that our Being Wichita Women book is doing great.
Yeah.
Did you think it was going to do this good?
No, I mean,
I thought, who wants to read our stories?
It really is awesome.
And so it's nice that, we're helping the community with the money from the book. And
I hope another one can get written. There's so many women's stories that after the book, after we got through that process, I'm like, oh my gosh, they need to be...
I know.
They need to be in there.
They need their story. Yeah. And Danielle and I had the conversation. I think it's about time that maybe there was a man's version.
Yeah. Oh, that would be
because
awesome.
There are a lot of men that have had their own trauma, their own things. Yep. And there's still forces in the community. It's not just a female thing.
Right.
I think these days it's an everybody thing.
It's an everybody thing.
And so I've kind of played around with kind of being the instigator, stir the pot a little bit behind doing the men's version of, Being Wichita Women. Because I can think of 10 guys off the top of my head that I would go, well, you'd be really good for this. So,
yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, so tell us how to find you. How do we find you for the...
You can find me on Instagram at creativechange.life.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook, Laura Dungan.
Okay.
There is a Facebook page that isn't very active, but you could find me there, Center of Creative Change on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will drop all that in some links for everybody so that they can access that.
Yeah.
It's good to see you as always.
It's great to see you.
I've really missed your face.
I know. It's been a while. Well, not too long.
Well,
it was quite a stretch, but then we got to catch up with each other again. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. I look forward to seeing what's going to happen with the vibration and the frequency. Yeah. Most likely, I'm going to have to check it out myself.
Yes.
I
can come. We can play around a little bit.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens within the community. I think we might have started something as usual.
So, as usual.
Well, right. Well, Miss Laura, it's so good to see you. This is episode number 2 of The Alternative Voice. I have so enjoyed visiting with you, and I will be seeing you all soon out and about. And we'll look forward next month to Icy Collins IV and Mr. Sean Britton are going to come talk to us about doing your own thing.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
I know, right?
Yes, it does.
I will see you all later. And don't forget, be the change that you want to see in the world.